All right. Well, interesting start to this first period too, right?
Yeah.
Uh, what did you think? I don't know.
I was really liking what I was seeing. I mean, I didn't see too many flaws other than that little hiccup with Doucette in front of the net
Well,
that
that's yeah.
ended up costing us the goal. But I mean, stuff like that happens. Can't really avoid
And you know
that
what?
sometimes.
Honestly, and I know they did a challenge on the play there to see if it was an offside review.
Yeah.
And you could see the referee go over to Coach Letang. They had it on the big screen there, and they explain what's going on, and he just kind of nodded and went,
Yeah.
"Yeah, okay."
I think
I think
I think even if it was actually offside, it was going to be too close to call anyway. So
yeah,
it has to be definite 100%. Yes, it was an offside. I don't think they could have made that call that it was actually going to be 100% definite. So
yeah.
I hate that they can even review that play anyway.
Well, let's talk about that because this happened at the Sioux game there on Friday, and there was the Sioux did a review call like that, and I was like I don't know the rules. Like, how many times can we go back and challenge? I think it's just once, isn't it? On a play.
I think so. Yeah, I think if you've done it once, then I believe you're going to lose out on that challenge for the future. But I mean, it's just like any other. Like, how many calls do the referees miss out on through the games? Or how many missed penalties are there? How many missed? So I think to be able to go back and review to see if the play was offside, it's like if it was a missed call. Let's move on.
Yeah, that's right.
The goal didn't happen because we allowed the offside. The goal happened because they managed to put the puck in the net.
I've always been one to blame it on football. Because they started it back in the late 80s of this review thing because video got better and stuff. And there was a big controversy over that. Should we even be doing that? And sometimes even today, like, I kind of look at it as like that there's human beings out there playing a game, and the referees are human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going to make mistakes. And I don't even want to call them mistakes. They're going to miss things. There's only two eyeballs. And you can only move so fast. I don't know. I wouldn't want the job.
It's like how many times has a hockey player gone skating off the rink with a big gouge in their face or a broken nose because they caught a stick in the face that the referee missed and there's no call on.
Yeah.
I mean, things get missed out there, and if an offside happens to get missed, I'm like,
well,
it's not going to be the end of the world.
It's hockey.
Yes,
you kind of signed up for it.
It's one of the fastest-paced games that there is out there in the world of sport today. You're not going to catch everything, no matter how many striped shirts are out there on the rink.
Yeah. Speaking of the speed out there, Lee, you talked about we do have a fast team, and we were looking at the gas pedal we were talking about pregame there. Did you like the speed? I kind of felt, even though we're 3-1 here, I kind of feel like they could put the pedal down a little more.
I think they could, but I mean,
or they're just holding on to that.
What they're doing is working. Maybe what they're doing is holding some of that energy in reserve to make sure they have everything they need going forward for the whole entire game.
Right.
I mean, if you put the pedal to the metal too early and keep it down, you're going to get yourself gassed out, long before the end of the game. And your opponents are going to be able to capitalize that if you're too tired when the third period rolls around. So, I mean, we're up 3-1. We're making some very, very nice plays. Both of Burke's goals were
beautiful.
I want to say set up perfectly.
Absolutely.
Because it wasn't just one of those right place, right time things. Like at the first goal especially, I mean, it goes from Del Mastro up high down to Del Bel Ballou's, down low, right next to the boards behind the goal line, right up to Burke and in the net. I mean, it was perfectly set up. Yeah. And his other one, the third goal there, was very much the same, set up nicely. Well, no, that one was the right place, right time thing off of the rebound off of Kyrou. It was the second goal to Richie, where I don't know how he fit that in there.
Well, let's talk about Ethan Ritchie there, because I think at the Sioux game we were talking, Connor and I were talking about, because Ethan Ritchie got a goal in that game as well. Here's a guy that we didn't see a ton of consistency from in the beginning of the season but it seems like lately he's coming to the forefront more and more. Definitely. And I think that's just the plays that the Sarnia Sting have been able to put together now seems more coordinated than it was in the past.
Yeah, and that's going to be the work that they're putting in between games. That's going to be the coaching staff, putting these plays together, making them practice these things, making them, work on these little things like that. And Ethan Ritchie, I mean, he's a guy who has stepped up. You know what? like you said, he was a little bit inconsistent. He wasn't a big role player on this team earlier on in the season, but now he's taking his place at the table. I mean, he's hungry for it. He's taking it. He wants it, and he's proving it game after game with his offensive play, his defensive play, and even his aggression. Like, I've seen him throwing the body around and even throwing the hands around a bit. Like, and that goal that he got, I'm going to be watching replays of that just
for a while.
I was in awe of that thing. Like, he had about that much. If the puck is this wide, he had about that much space to get it in there, and he squeezed it right through on the short side there. I was so happy when I saw that go in, and I was just like, how did he make that happen? It was amazing.
Well, and this comes from the fact, too, that, I mean, sometimes you still hear the crowd go, shoot, 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 but this team is shooting more. I mean, 8 shots on goal for the first period. That could be a little bit more probably, but at the end of the day, it's the ones that go in, the little meshy thing, as Jay Peckham would say, right, that really count, and that's showing at 3-1. But they seem to be quality goals this period, what I saw there. Like you talk about that one from Ethan Ritchie for sure. And even Nolan Burke's, like you said, the setup was just really beautiful in there. And, the other thing with this team is just that team. I think maybe earlier in the season, we kind of saw a little bit of I'm trying to be polite, but I'll just say it. I think there were some individuals who were really just trying to stand out on their own.
I think so. And, that's been part of the effort that's been put in with this team, with the team themselves, the players, but as well as the coaching staff. You got to imagine that that's something that has been gone over again and again and again with them. I mean, you would think once you get to this level, you're going to know, like, this is a team sport. You got to utilize the team. And you see the teams out there that have the most success are ones that use each other out there on the ice, and they utilize their teammates and set those plays up and move the puck around like that.
Funny how it really makes a difference, right? And we've heard Coach Letang say that, again, going back to the earlier part of this season, when there were all these struggles out there with, players being off. We were hurt for a lot of the beginning of the season, and the younger players had to step forward. And sometimes those what we call superstars or key players, I heard sometimes they're like, well, why don't I get to go out? And he's like, if you're not playing, you don't deserve to play. Yep. You don't just get out there because you're normally a superstar. And I really kudos. We've talked about it before, and I always like to give kudos to the coaching staff because I think their philosophies of this, what they put into this team, have really changed. Since Coach Letang came in, there's
absolutely
been a lot of changes there.
Yeah, this team has come together like something. It's unbelievable.
It's just I don't know how else you say it, right? It's been a fantastic year.
We've been saying that all, as a Sarnia Sting fan, seeing this game, but as a hockey fan, seeing a team that can come together like this and work together like they are out on the ice, you're not seeing a whole lot of that, like you were mentioning earlier on in the season. A lot of individual efforts, a lot of wannabe superstars to go out there and showcase their talents. Like, the best way to showcase your talents as a hockey team is with wins. I mean, you can go out there and score 40 goals in a season, but if you've got 60 losses on the year as a team,
it doesn't mean a whole lot.
It doesn't mean a whole lot. I mean,
maybe it looks good on the back of a hockey card.
You have a great individual stat going, but I mean, if you're not contributing to the team, everybody's looking at that too. If we're talking about getting to that next level, they want to see more than just your ability to put the puck in the net. They want to see your ability to win games.
Yeah, for sure. Nolan Burke's in the locker room right now. What do you think he's thinking?
He's thinking, thank you, Del Mastro and Del Bellevue.
He's got to be.
He's thinking, 2 in so far. We got 2 periods to go. He's feeling really good, as the whole team should be feeling good. Everybody in that locker room right now has got to be feeling really good about the effort that was put forth in that first period.
But don't get complacent. It's only the first period, 40 more minutes of hockey to go. So now Kitchener's in there. I mean, Kitchener's not letting off here either. Now that we talk about them, I know they've really pushed through here. I was kind of like, well, I don't know how, but they know what they're up against now. We talked to pregame, about the conversations that happen around the OHL, and they know they know whose house they're standing in right now.
They definitely are, and we talked about the shots too. Like, just because the score is 3-1 doesn't mean that Kitchener's not playing a very good game.
That's right.
We've only got 8 shots, and that's due to no little part to the defensive effort that's being put forth by the Kitchener Rangers tonight. I'm watching them play while we have managed to get through, a few times, they're playing a very good defensive game right now. And that's showing on the fact that we only were able to pull off 8 shots.
Yeah, well, and maybe they're getting ready to. Maybe they didn't have the pedal all the way down either. Maybe they're talking about saving the energy. Who knows what happens if we could only be the fly in the locker room and know everything, right? But we can only predict a win, right? So we'll see what happens a few minutes away now as the Sarnia Sting get ready to come out. Second period now with the Kitchener Rangers. And, of course, don't forget, we'll be live post-game with who knows who. You'll just have to show up and find out. Lee Bazeley and I will be back at the end of this second period. Once again, for the Sarnia Sting, live from the concourse, I'm David Burrows and my friend Lee Bazeley. 1, 2, 3. Go Sting, go!